Can someone put their hand on their heart and explain to me how sympathy works? Can you do it? Because I can't. And I put 16 hours of my life into this book. Welcome back to my channel, guys. My name is Nazar Sayed. I'm a writer and poet from Toronto, Ontario. And today I'm talking about The Name of the Wind. Now, this is already going to be a very contentious episode, so buckle in. I finished The Name of the Wind 2 nights ago at 4 a.m. and I had lots of thoughts. Hailed as one of the best fantasy fiction stories out there since Game of Thrones, I was very eager to read this, and I was quite influenced by a lot of friends liking this book and really recommending it to me and telling me that, Nazar, it'll change your life. It'll change the way you think about novels. It'll change the way you think about storytelling. Didn't really happen. Now let's get straight to what I liked about this book. The writing is immaculate. There's no two ways about it. Patrick Rothfuss is an accomplished writer. He knows what he's talking about. The way he weaves words, the way he storytells, the way he talks about his characters and the surroundings. This is a world that Patrick Rothfuss has definitely lived in, and he really wants us to know that. That could be a good thing and a bad thing, and I'll talk about how it could be a bad thing in a minute. But the good was that I felt like I was in very good hands. I knew that the author knew what he was doing, and he was taking me on a journey that felt real. And that's probably about the only thing that I liked about this book. The writing is great. Okay, what else? That's where things start to fall off. I want to say up till here, the first 20% of the book, one of the best things I've ever read. It starts falling apart when you realize that this is just going to be a lot of retelling from a narrator that we can barely trust. And it's not in a cool way where things are sort of spiraling out and we don't know what the truth is. This is just one man boasting about every single thing he's ever done. It comes off as arrogant. It comes off as showy. It comes off as a little bit standoffish at times. One of the reviews I was reading was talking about how Quoth has no flaws.
During the story, Quoth has no flaws, and that is my main problem with this book, is that our protagonist is flawless.
And once I heard that, and then I reflected upon what I read, I realized that was accurate. Patrick Rothfuss knows so much about this world that he sometimes forgets that we don't know anything about his world, and he doesn't really try to explain what's going on. There's a lot of names, a lot of historical accuracies in this world, a lot of stories from other eras of this world that are being told without any context. Can someone put their hand on their heart and explain to me how sympathy works? Can you do it? Because I can't. And I put 16 hours of my life into this book. So I don't really read a lot of fantasy, so this was very important for me to click, because I judge the fantasy genre with what I read. Harry Potter, great. Game of Thrones, great. The Name of the Wind, not so great. What also frustrated me quite a bit about this book was there was a lot of tell, don't show. What I mean by that is you could summarize this story in, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then I was really good here, and I was super awesome here, and then I made him feel like an idiot here. There's not a lot of nuance in it, which is kind of contradicting what I was talking about before with Patrick Rothfuss's writing. The best parts of this book are when he's talking about his love interests, and when he's talking about how he's feeling, and when he's talking about what is going on with Quoth internally. As soon as he starts talking about his externals, the university, his friends, it gets really plasticky very quickly. My favorite parts of the book were when Patrick Rothfuss was talking in third person, not in first person. Quote storytelling, I don't like, but I like it when the narrator is talking to us. All the present day stuff when they're at the end and the beginning of the novel, I ate that stuff up. That's Patrick Rothfuss at his best. But as soon as Quote starts telling his stories, I'm like, oh, here we go again, university tales. Like, I don't know if this is a bias against just university, because I absolutely hated my time at university, but there's definitely something about the way he describes his university that just irks me. I am completely, like, my skin, it begins to crawl, and I remember all the late assignments that I put into and struggling with fees and all that. Like, I don't know, maybe this is what happens when you have subjective views on literature, right? I am bringing my own baggage into this story, and it's not working for me. But like I said, whenever he's talking about his love interest, Dina or Denna, I am head over heels about it. That's poetic writing, the way he's talking about her, the way he's describing her. I'm falling in love with the love interest just as fast as Quoth is. So that's a positive. I'm chalking that up as 1 for Patrick. The other thing that kind of bummed me out about this was finding out that this is supposed to be a trilogy, and the first book ends with the guy not even completely out of university yet. First book is basically just a first act, and boy, did it feel like it. Lots of setup, lots of meandering, lots of talking about this and then that and then this and then that. The point of the book where he's trying to learn his chops so he can find these people who did this really bad thing to him, just kind of is in the background, and his fight with his school colleague Ambrose is in the forefront, and I could not care much about that. Now, I don't feel like I'm being too harsh on this, just because a lot of people love this to death, and a lot of people have reservations with it. And a lot of people hail it to be the next coming of Lord of the Rings. It's not, newsflash. Its popularity sort of perplexes me. I know that the diehard Kingkiller Chronicle people are just absolutely like obsessed and are very attacky and would literally obliterate you if they meet you in person. So I'm sorry if I offended anyone, but at the same time, I gotta call a spade, and I didn't very much enjoy this novel at all. At the middle and near the end, it kind of felt like a slog to me. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads just because of the way it was written in the beginning, and there were aspects of it, like I mentioned, that I truly enjoyed. Will I be picking up the next one? Probably not, especially knowing that Patrick Rothfuss is kind of not even done with the 3rd one. It's kind of a George R.R. Martin type situation where I haven't really finished Game of Thrones because I know that the books aren't finished yet, so it's kind of letting me off the hook a little bit. But for me, I was just glad that I got through this 700-page monstrosity. One other positive thing that I'll say about this was that it got me off of my reading hump. So I'm reading like 3 novels right now. None of them are a fantasy. Charles Bukowski, Cormac McCarthy, and Pride and Prejudice for some reason. Those are the 3 that I'm reading, and hopefully I'll get reviews and discussions out for those really soon as well. Guys, if you like what you saw and you agree with me, and if you disagree with me, leave a comment below so we can have the discourse. I would really want to hear what people have to say about this. At least it's a good conversation starter to have. One of my favorite writers and one of my favorite thinkers, the Nerd Writer, hails this really high on his list. I think he gave it a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So, I mean, a lot of people really like it, and I understand where it comes from. It just wasn't for me. That being said, I will see you guys in the next video. My name was Nazra Sayed. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Cheers. Hailed as one of the best